It's kind of incredible how the gaming industry at large is not admitting that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, about 18.5 million units sold, a 96 Metacritic score, one of the best games on Nintendo Switch. Like, there are a lot of people right now who are desperately trying to downplay this game. Right? They're trying to say it's not a big deal. They're trying to say it's not successful. They're trying to say it's not going to be all that popular. Like I just read an article by Sean Malmstrom claiming that the game is going to alienate people who fell in love with Breath of the Wild. That this game was so underwhelming to so many people that people might not buy the next Zelda game, right? And then he went on to say that Super Mario Bros. Wonder would do the same thing. So we've moved past these kinds of people trying to tell you that Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is outselling Spider-Man 2 on Amazon right now, we've gotten past the point where these people are trying to say that Super Mario Bros. Wonder isn't going to do well. These guys have moved on to trying to argue that Tears of the Kingdom, the best selling game on Switch this year, and I believe like like this huge success story, Tears of the Kingdom, is not actually a success. It's actually kind of bad. It's actually a failure, right? It's really interesting seeing these people desperately try to find some kind of narrative that will stick on the game. First it was like the rehashed map, and then it was like, oh, it's just like the same thing again. Oh, it's just more of the same. Oh, it's just like we wish the game was more like the older ones. Oh, there's just too much content, which seems to be the new excuse. Like, oh, there's too much content. Like 70 hours to get through the story. Oh, no, nobody has time for that. It's case. What about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I'm sure is a lot shorter and a lot more manageable? Oh, that isn't deep or complex enough, right? Like, this is the reality that we're in when it comes to Nintendo Switch exclusives. Not just Super Mario Bros. Wonder, by the way, not just Tears of the Kingdom, but this is also impacting like Cereza and the Lost Demon, right? This is also impacting Bayonetta 3, Metroid Dread, No More Heroes 3, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Advance Wars 1 and 2, Fire Emblem Engage, right? I'm sure this is going to impact like a lot of the games coming out in the future. Like Princess Peach Showtime, I've seen has gotten a lot of flack. Unicorn Overlord, I think, is getting ignored right now. No matter what the game is, no matter what the style, no matter what the content, like who the target demographic is, no matter what who the developer is, like what the game looks like, whether it's like a big budget game or an indie title, no matter what happens, you're going to see the same group of people come out and try and make some kind of weird excuse as to like why they aren't excited for it, right? You see this with Dark Moon. You see this with everything that's coming out, in the near future. Like, you have people right now trying to tell you that like no major Switch games are on the horizon, which is just completely wrong. It's not even really a debatable thing, right? Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to be huge, right? It's going to be a huge deal, right? But no, not a major release because it's only a 2D Mario game, right? Like, completely ignoring the fact that 2D Mario games are hugely popular, right? More popular than your favorite game, to be sure. Like, it's why can we not admit when Nintendo has had a massive W, right? Like, why are we like wringing our hands and trying to deny that like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the game of the year 2023? Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't even come close, right? Like, I've had a look at like the retention numbers and like the sales charts and like everything about Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is nowhere near the caliber of game that like the industry and like YouTubers makes you want you to believe, right? It sold like what, like 5 million units, like about a third of what Tears of the Kingdom managed, right? Like going by like our current numbers. It's probably like the gap is actually probably a lot bigger than that. I'm sure like Tears of the Kingdom is like uh soared way past like 25 million units by now. But like going by the current numbers, like Baldur's Gate 3 seems to have sold like about a third as much as Tears of the Kingdom. Like it's not as played. It's not like it's not going to leave as much of an impact, right? It's not going to have a real legacy, right? And like people are trying to like retcon this thing into relevancy. Like I'm seeing people like make articles claiming that like people didn't play Ocarina of Time back in the day. They were too busy playing Half-Life 1 and Baldur's Gate. Like it's just like, huh? Like we've gotten to the point where like people aren't satisfied with trying to downplay Tears of the Kingdom. They're going back and trying to downplay Ocarina. They're going back and trying to downplay like the entire legacy of Zelda. Oh, which is another thing I've been seeing is like people like going back and saying that like, oh, after these successes of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it's gonna be a failure from here on in. Like Anoma's gonna do his thing, he's gonna ruin everything, and all these games, there's just gonna be a steep decline in popularity going forward. But like we saw what happened with Tears of the Kingdom, right? We've seen this game be a massive success, even though you won't admit it, and it's such a weird thing because the reason you're seeing people like talk about uh player counts and like concurrent players within a specific time frame and like Steam sales charts and things like that, Twitch views on Twitch, like the reason you're seeing them talk about that instead of critic scores or sales is because like Nintendo is obviously dominating the sales charts. It's obviously dominating the critic scores, and it's getting really hard to like to find some way to put Baldur's Gate, like games like Baldur's Gate, games like Elden Ring, games like Witcher 3 or like Cyberpunk 27 like on top, because we're seeing Nintendo like quite easily outperform these games any given year. Like these are like once in a generation like major success stories for like a third party studio, but for Nintendo it's just like a flash in the pan success. You know, Splatoon 3, like I think has sold about like as twice as much as Baldur's Gate 3, going by the current numbers. And Splatoon 3 has been out for considerably longer, and they're not the same genre, but at the same time, like uh, the industry likes to pretend that Splatoon is a failure, right? Even though it's like held its relevancy way longer than Fortnite, way longer than Overwatch, way longer than like Lawbreakers or any other shooter out there. Like Splatoon, it has established itself as like the definitive Nintendo online shooter. And like this kind of goes into what I've been saying is that like the critics, these guys that are in their 30s, 40s, maybe even older in some cases, like these guys have absolutely no idea what's appealing to the actual core demographic, kids, right? They have no idea what kids are playing. They don't care, right? Like it's why they're so baffled by the success and popularity of like modern Pokemon and like Zelda and stuff like that, is that like they legit gaslit themselves into thinking that kids were only interested in playing Fortnite or whatever, and that none of them would be interested in playing real games on Nintendo hardware. They thought that was like a thing of the past, but like we are increasingly seeing that's not the case, right? We are increasingly seeing Mario just soar in popularity. We are seeing like these uh these Nintendo IPs have a very strong appeal for younger audiences. And more, I feel like the people who cry about Tears of the Kingdom, its alleged issues, like its pacing, its world structure, like the game itself, like I think they really don't understand how appealing these games are to a younger audience. They don't respect the general demographic, right? And as a result of that, you get these completely out of place predictions that have no basis in reality, right? We saw so many people, right, going into Tears of the Kingdom's release that like, oh, this is going to be a failure, this is going to be a flop, it's not going to live up to the Breath of the Wild. What happened? It was a big success. I say it was better than Breath of the Wild. Plenty of people love Tears of the Kingdom. It's like it's a huge deal, even if like the community doesn't want to admit it. Like, do the critics like acknowledge they made a mistake and acknowledge Tears of the Kingdom as the best game of the year? No, they double down. They try throwing everything at the wall to try and find something they can hold against it. Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, I'm sure, has been thrown out there. Like they're doing everything they possibly can, but nothing is working, right? Because Tears of the Kingdom is the game that's most popular, is is going to hold retention the longest and is going to establish itself as a classic video game 10, 20 years from now, right? Like, they just don't get it. And they're doing the same exact thing to not only Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but like the entire Switch lineup, right? We've seen them do this with ARMS. We've seen them do this with Octopath Traveler, with I've listed a whole list of third-party games they've done this with Bayonetta 3, No More Heroes 3, Shin Megami Tensei 5, right? We're seeing like games like Princess Peach Showtime be downplayed, right? Aggressively downplayed. Like, we see so many people like try and like deny the obvious, that like Nintendo is at the top of their game and is the industry leader, right? Like, nobody wants to admit that like nobody has as good of a pedigree and has such strong development studios and has such a consistent upload schedule than Nintendo. Like, 3 years in, we haven't seen a single major PS5 game. Meanwhile, Switch is like pumping out bangers every like couple of months, right? Like, it is crazy to think that people genuinely believe that Nintendo Switch will be replaced this year. It just isn't gonna happen. Like, next year, it just isn't gonna happen, right? Like, it is unthinkable to me that so many people are have seriously deluded themselves into thinking that like Tears of the Kingdom is somehow going to be a failure or somehow has been a failure, right? Like, it's so weird to me to see people try and spin Tears of the Kingdom like, oh, well, my friend says it was mid. I don't care what your stupid friend thinks because I played the game. I've played all of the games, not just every Zelda game, every Nintendo game, every game on any platform, on every platform, from every developer, from every franchise and every genre. Like, I know what I'm talking about when I say that Tears of the Kingdom is a masterpiece. Like, you cannot respect the opinion of people who try and spout such ignorant rhetoric at you, right? The majority of the people who try to claim Tears of the Kingdom is anything less than spectacular clearly didn't spend enough time with it at all. They were clearly going into it with an agenda, and that is easily demonstrated by the fact that like so many of them don't seem to like any Nintendo games at all, right? I cannot emphasize enough how it feels like the people who religiously go after every single Nintendo game on every single console, like every single year, like, these people are obsessed with trying to make Nintendo look bad by any means necessary. Whether it's like complaining about localization changes, or complaining about the art style, or complaining about pulling something out of thin air. No matter what happens, they are going to find something to complain about. And we are about like 1 week away from the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder as I'm recording this. And we are seeing a lot of that now. We are seeing people like make their clickbaity like rage videos trying to say that the game might be disappointing, or that it might do this, or that it might do that, or it might be underwhelming, or that like, oh, I wish they made a 3D game instead. Like, you're seeing people like try to argue that this game isn't going to be great. And it's just appalling, honestly. It's really sad, honestly. Like, why are you so obsessed with trying to find something to complain about when it comes to the greatest video game company in gaming, Nintendo? Why are you so desperate?